All right, y'all. We'll go ahead and get started. And as we get started, people can come up in the space. They can join. I'll go ahead and fill them in as well too. Welcome to the Newstoter Twitter space. Normally we don't do this on Saturday. Sometimes we'll do it on Sunday, but this is normally you catch us Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We give a shout out to You Permit. We give a shout out to SO504, Quixote. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. Chosen, I see you just went ahead and followed Newstoter. So welcome. Shout out to you guys up in the Twitter space today. In case you don't know, most of you guys know that Newstoter is the largest black-owned news curation media platform today in America. I put the actual articles, which I'm gonna touch up as well in the actual jumbotron, y'all. Like I say, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing rolling. And those who come up in the space today, they can we can catch them up to what's going on. But today is a neo-Nazi National Day of Hate. A lot of Jewish people are. They told them to go ahead and pretty much look out for these actual neo-Nazis. But I think black people, black Americans themselves need to watch out because you were targeted and you're the victims of more hate crimes than any other group in this country. So if anybody needs to get a heads up and needs to watch out, it is definitely you. So let me go ahead and I want to touch upon this. This article comes from Newsweek, y'all. So give me 1 second while I go ahead and find this. I'm just going to highlight some points from it and we'll go ahead and get started. The actual article says neo-Nazi groups organize an anti-Semitic National Day of Hate, police warn. Like I say, if you're black and you're in America and you're the number one victim of racial hate crimes, you yourself better be looking out today too. So neo-Nazi groups across the United States are planning a National Day of Hate against Jewish communities on Saturday, according to the anti-Semitism watchdogs and police documents. A leaked internal memo by the New York City Police Department's Intelligence Counterterrorism Bureau online organizers are instructing like-minded individuals to drop banners, place stickers and flyers, or scrawl graffiti as a form of biased so-called action. Jewish groups and police urge Jews to remain vigilant during the Sabbath. There will be additional patrols in synagogues in New York and New Jersey. Researchers at the Counter Extremism Project, CEP, an international policy organization, said on Thursday that extremist groups have been promoting the Day of Action through Telegram posts and identified the National Socialist Movement as one of the organizers. According to the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, the National Socialist Movement is the largest neo-Nazi group in the United States. Though it has experienced a decline in membership in recent years, it is currently led by Bert Colucci. The group was behind the recent neo-Nazi demonstration at the opening of a parade, a Broadway show about a Jewish man who was lynched. The CEP said it stated that 2 regional chapters in Iowa and California, as well as a small group in New York, were planning to participate in the Day of Hate. Meanwhile, the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, citing ADL sources, identified the Crew 319 group in Iowa as behind the call for action. Newsweek reached out to ADL for comment. Stop Anti-Semitism, a group grassroots watchdog, said the Day of Hate was being specifically organized and promoted by groups including the Guam Defense League, a parody of the ADL, and one of 2 far-right groups behind the series of anti-Semitic projections that appeared on the buildings of Florida last month. The NYPD called for officers to maintain any elevated situational awareness and vigilance on Saturday for domestic violent extremism, especially around key locations that might garner high interest for these types of actions. James Giannano, a Democratic City Council member for New York City's 24th District, confirmed that the leaked memo is in fact real, albeit a draft version. He added that he had requests for additional patrols near synagogues in his district, which covers areas of Central Queens. An NYPD spokesman told Newsweek that out of an abundance of caution, the department would deploy additional resources to sensitive locations, including houses of worship, throughout the weekend. Stop Anti-Semitism tweeted on Thursday night that it strongly urges everyone to be vigilant, specifically during the synagogue services. In Chicago, the police department's place of worship safety advocacy team released a community alert urging members of the public to keep situationally aware, and not just on Sabbath, but during the week as well. Since officers can't be on every street in the city at once, we count on residents to be our additional eyes and ears, it added. David Goldberg, the ADL's Midwest Regional Director, told Chicago, the Sun-Times, that dedicated days of action had become popular among extremist groups in recent years, with footage of stunts used to give illusions the groups are larger than they actually are, when in reality, the actual participation in these types of events is incredibly small. Police in Lakeland, New Jersey, told the Lakewood News Network on Thursday that while there was not any credible information to suggest that these threats will impact New Jersey, it has nonetheless increased the number of on-duty officers. This is all about harassing Jews and creating a public space for hate mongers. Jason Shame, CEO of the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey, told NorthJersey.com, this becomes recruitment tool to invite others into this dark place of promoting hate and anti-Semitism. The Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles said that the local FBI and police were well aware of potential activity, that law enforcement would increase patrols in the city. We must come together to drown out any hateful voices by standing strong in Jewish pride. Police in New York and Chicago advised that they had yet to have any evidence of a threat to Jewish communities. The NYPD spokesman said there were no identified threats as yet. In a statement, the Chicago Police Department said there is no actionable intelligence, and we continue to actively monitor the situation. It added that it was in regular contact with Jewish leaders and organizations. We will not be intimidated. The American Jewish community stated, we are resilient, we are strong. Meanwhile, the ADL said that through the day of hate is meant to be intimidating and divide us, but we remain undivided. We will remain united in our kindness and positivity as it called for a Sabbath of peace and not hate. The organization CEO Jonathan Greenblatt added on Twitter, the Jewish community may be the target of vile anti-Semitic hate, but we will not be intimidated. ADL used anticipated neo-Nazi action to call for Congress to increase funding for security for places of worship through a federal grant to meet the rising threats of hate and extremism. So one thing I'll say about this right here, it seems that the Jewish community, and I see my man Professor's up in here as well too. Matrix, didn't see why I was actually touching up on that article, but peace to you, Professor. It doesn't take much. You can see that for them to actually get the funding and the actual action too. So we definitely, while we don't preach hate or violence for any specific group, you can just see how quick it went to overdrive when this thing was supposed to affect Jewish people. And like I said before, for y'all coming in here, if you have a national day of hate and you got all this stuff going on, if you Black, you are the leading victims of hate crime. So you need to keep your head on the swivel yourself. You can talk about the Jewish community, but you need to have your head and your eyes glued and be looking out, because if anybody could be a potential victim for a hate crime, time and time again, it is showed as you. The Jewish community already has every major city up north, it seems like, and even out west, they got their eyes open. They're not going to let anything really, if they can prevent it going to harming the Jewish community. They already got police on standby. They got their antennas up. So they're looking to see if anybody comes close to the Jewish community or talk about hurting one of these people, they're ready for it. So that's the kind of funding, that's the kind of action, that's the kind of networking we need as well too. When we have these kind of threats, and the FBI and so many of these other organizations know about it. They talk about the extreme white supremacy and all of these agencies, these policing organizations and everything else, from the military to the police to you name it. They know about these threats. They hear about these threats, but yet they're so slow in reacting. But here they ain't taking no chances. And that's the kind of attitude that they have for Black folks as compared to other groups as well too. They willing to go out here and make sure that nobody's going to lay a finger on the Jewish community. They need to have that same vigilance when it comes to the Black community as well too. So, and you even heard that towards the end of that article, they was talking about additional funding to protect places of worship and stuff like that as well too. Well, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Make sure, like they did in Charleston when they went in there and they shot up that church, Dylan Roof, that those are the type of places also, not just the synagogues that's going to be protected, but also regular churches that a lot of our Black folks attend as well too. So you could just see, like I said, they're not wasting any time. I saw this earlier. Professor, I don't know, were you the one that sent me? Did you tag me in this post earlier? You tagged me in this, or it was either this or the one about the slavery, the slavery theme part. But Professor, he tagged me in this. So I said, well, this would be a good space to hold on to, because it's a national day of hate. And I know when we think about neo-Nazis, I guarantee neo-Nazis still try to attack Black folks more than any other group as well too. And I'm not saying that the Jewish community is not close, but people think because they're neo-Nazis and they got the German base and this and that or whatever, that they strictly after Jews. These neo-Nazis would love nothing more to get their hand on a nigga as well too. So don't let anybody fool you. If they can get their hand on a couple niggas out here and hurt them and shoot them up and kill them, then that would make their day all the better. Like, in fact, I would argue that that's their main target. Like, yeah, they want to go ahead and get the Jewish community, but they know that they on alert for that. They're going to be looking out. So they say, well, the black folks, they ain't going to get that same level of protection. And we know it's many, many more of them. So it may be slim pickings in the Jewish community, but like we can go ahead and just pretty much throw a rock and we gonna hit one of these Negroes. Professor, what's going on, man? Did you send this article, Professor, or was it or did you send me the one about Benin?
Yeah, I think I tagged you in this one about the National Day of Hate, because they had a video. It was a YouTube video where there was some neo-Nazis was standing outside a synagogue and they was harassing, I think, some Jewish members that were coming from the synagogue. So I remember tagging you in that, but it seems to be just white supremacy attacks every which way, and see what's concerning to me is these folks are attacking in our community. If y'all been hearing about these power grids, that's been some of the attacks that's been taking place across the country with the power grids, those are neo-Nazis that are doing that within our communities. So the same vigilance that they are lining up for these Jewish people, they need to be doing this for our communities as well, because these white supremacies are attacking our power grids within the urban areas, trying to do things to attack us as well.
Professor, now I remember what was that about 2 weeks ago? We did that. We talked about the man and woman that was up there in Baltimore that went ahead and was trying to attack the actual Baltimore power grid as well too. So we talked about it. You had the woman, she was from Baltimore. You had the man, he was from Orlando, Florida. Somehow they were sending encrypted messages on social media, and they had all of this stuff planned and plotted out. So yeah, we actually spoke about this in the actual Twitter space, that we held a couple of weeks ago, talking about the actual power grid attack that these people had planned. Matrix.
Yes, and see that's the thing, Newstoter. They know that these are happening mainly in predominantly black areas or urban areas, which mainly gonna, of course, have black populations. So when they know this, then the same vigilance that you're trying to give to the Jewish synagogues and Jewish communities, you could do the same thing for the black areas, for the black community. So what's the problem?
Real talk. And you see that they let them go ahead. And they actually, with the white man and the white woman, they actually let them go ahead and try to formulate and this and that before they came and busted them. Like, here, the moment they heard about this, they're like, hey, we not even allow this. We going in, we gonna stop y'all. So yeah, like I said, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, man. And like you say, and Baltimore's not the only city that they're trying to attack the power grid. I mean, these places that they see a predominantly black population, they want to go in there and they want to create all our havoc and destroy it. So shout out to my girls, Black Native and Goddess. I see you sisters came up in the spot. Black Native, it looked like you was requesting to come up, but then you held your hand back down. But if you want to come up, sister, go ahead and request it. We'll go ahead and get you up here. We're going to also talk about this slavery theme park also in Benin that they're talking about. And this article is actually from December of 2022 towards the tail end of last year. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch up on that as well too. So Matrix, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I have a question. It's like the ADL is the one like behind the Jewish community. Who do we have as that matches the ADL?
Well, truthfully, we have
the ADL is not for everybody. It's for, I guess it's primarily for the Jewish community because that's the only people they raise us think about or for.
But truthfully,
so what is our equivalent?
Truthfully, Matrix, we have no equivalent to the ADL. Now, I know people could say that they'll say we have advocacy groups in terms of the NAACP. Of course, we all know what the NAACP stands. I guess you could say the Urban League as well too. Shout out to our girl that has Blood Pack. Sinclair. She has Blood Pack, and we're trying to build that up as well too. But at this point in time, we don't have Matrix, you got to mute your mic real quick, Matrix. But at this point in time, we don't have anybody on that level yet. I have to be honest. You could say the NAACP should be on that level, but the NAACP, you got to look at who actually founded the NAACP. and the NAACP is pretty much an all inclusion type group now. So the ADL they stand for the Jewish community. They don't stand for the Hispanics, for the blacks, the Asians. They stand for the Jewish community. If you're doing something to harm the Jewish community, you're doing something to get out of line with the Jewish community, that's when they step up. Do something any other group, and they like, well, hey, you got to go ahead and handle your own business. But you start messing with the Jewish community, they're gonna speak up. For us, the NAACP, the first thing you talk about now, it says the National Association of Advancement of Colored People. But the first thing when you start talking about the NAACP, first automatically it's like it just comes. Oh, well, we're talking about communities, black and brown communities. It's always black and brown communities. It's never black communities. So, in hindsight, to be honest, we don't have any advocacy group really that's on the level of ADL, period. Because the ADL, you see like this, they snap your fingers, this message started going out about, and it just went like radar. Everybody from New York to New Jersey, Chicago, everybody is alert. They're gonna make sure that you're not gonna do harm the Jewish community at all. You can't get that same thing with black people. And the bad thing is that we've had all kind of reports come out showing you that they know about the actual white supremacy, the way it targets black people. They know about the infestation in the policing communities around this country and everything else. They know about these attacks. The FBI, all of them hear about it. But they wait till they like, well, we got to gather information and we got to let them make a move and we got to see exactly what. But when you start talking about the Jewish people, what they said. They gonna do what? When? What? Okay, bam. Let's put 1,000 cops on the street here in New York City. Let's put 5,000 here in Baltimore. Let's go ahead and get this group and that group. So it ain't no wasting no time. It ain't, well, let's go ahead and let's give them enough rope to hang them. It's like, no. Give them, if they get any rope, we'll hang them ourselves. So that's the difference right there. It's wait and see approach with the black community, with everybody, with the Jewish community is like, yo. If they hear a whisper about something about to go down, it's they about to pop it off. Professor, I know you want to go ahead and chime in. Go ahead.
Just to kind of answer what Matrix is asking there, Matrix, Sister Brooke Sinclair is trying to build up the ABDL, which is Anti-Black Defamation League. Now, that's going to be, of course, the offset to what the Jewish community has with the ADL. But we need, as a community, continue to work with Brooke to build up that organization. I suggest to everybody that come into the spaces, the entire Black American family, go to bloodpact.org, read up on what that organization is trying to do, become a member so we can build it up, because we need something just like the Jewish community, a think tank and a community that is an advocate for what's happening to us in this country, because we need people that's going to speak up for us. Unfortunately, the Congressional Black Caucus, so-called leaders that we have there, are not going to do it because I think they are belong to the immigration, or I should say they belong to the immigrant population. They definitely don't belong to us Black Americans, and they're coons. There you go. So let's build up bloodpact.org, and let's build up the ABDL, everybody. This is going to be what we're going to have as our advocacy group. And I land my plane there.
Real talk. And Matrix, I see you got your hand up. Professor, I may make you, because DJ's supposed to come in later. I'm not sure about Ray, but I may make you a co-host if that's cool with you. We're not going to have a long space, but okay. Matrix, go ahead.
Okay, so saying that, like, the old organizations, they don't even represent like where we're at today in America as far as Black people. I don't think they don't represent, like, just like the people in government, they don't represent, they represent the old school, the 50s and back, like the 50s and back, or the early 70s and back. They represent that. Like Joe Biden, he represents 40 years of nothing for Black people. So we do need our own, but we also need new people, because I don't listen to, like, the NAACP. It never did anything for me. I mean, that like, in a personal way. But as far as us as a group, yes, we made strides, but it stopped. It's like they learned the game, how to not represent, and that's what they've been doing, not representing in a way that's useful to us as a community as a whole nowadays. I mean, did I say that right?
I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, those older groups, and like I said, we have to look at how these groups was founded and what was the purpose of them being founded for. So you have to have, when you're having an advocacy group, it has to be solely for your people. Once you start talking about that, you're going to have this rainbow type coalition. To me, it kind of waters it down, because when you're talking about when Latinos are having issues, facing Latinos, they're not worried about they're not concerned about everybody else. They're concerned about what's affecting Latinos. So I think now is the time, like Professor was saying with Sinclair, with Brooke, you have to have groups that's going to actually, look after your own best interests, and that's not despising or hating another group. That's just simply saying that, hey, we have to take care of us first and foremost. So we have to look out for our people first and foremost. And then if we can go ahead and we can help somebody else after we helped ourselves, that's cool. That's fine. But until you get to that point, you just can't do that. You have to worry about having an actual advocacy group for Black Americans in this country. And then you can go ahead and you can start the Kumbaya, you can start the Rainbow Coalition, the United Nations, and all these other type organizations where you have an outreach program where, as long as it's beneficial and you're getting respect and you're getting things back in return, then yeah, we can go ahead and we can do business with this group or that group as well. But we're not at that level, that point right now. Right now, we need to worry about Black first. And then, you know what I'm saying? Once we get Black first straightened out, then we can worry about any and everybody else after that. But we're not at that level right now at this point in time in America. Until we get to that level, hey, it's every man for himself. The way I look at it, every man and woman for themselves. How I look at it. Black Native, how you doing tonight? How you doing today? I should say as well. How you doing on this Saturday? I see we got Don up here as well too. So Black Native, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's this chip box, so I'm chilling right now. I just wanted to touch on the topic. You live out in Florida, right? Did you see anything going down, or have you been outside or seen any type of stuff happening? Because I think they said they're supposed to be having this National Day of Hate out in your neck of the woods. So.
It's supposed to be, and my uncle, and a couple of years ago, I was talking to my uncle because my uncle is an avid hunter, and he actually stopped hunting because they were sending out all these hate mail letters and stuff like that. You had these groups talking about, and this was about 2 years ago, that if they caught any Black people up in the woods hunting and stuff, because my uncle's a big deer hunter, and he hunts wild game and stuff, and they was basically saying that it was almost going to be a situation out there where they were going to be trying to pick Black people off. So I haven't heard anything because I've been on the grill most of the day cleaning up and stuff like that. So I was barbecuing earlier. So I myself have not, I've been pretty much in my backyard at my house all day. So I haven't, but like I could tell you from a couple of years ago, like I say, my uncle, they were getting these memos and stuff like that talking about that if they caught Black people out there hunting and in the woods and stuff, because Florida started having, in Tallahassee in particular, started having a lot of these neo-Nazi secret groups coming here as well too. So people don't talk about that, but we had a bunch of infiltration of neo-Nazis and skinheads and all these other white supremacy groups that started filtering into Florida, and they started making threats to to some of our Black hunters and stuff out there, talking about what they were going to do, which is is the wrong thing to say, because we got enough of our people out there too that's locked and loaded. So that really ain't what they really want, to be honest.
I know, because we had a space about this yesterday. I think Lawrence held the space, and I was stating that remember they let these Ukrainians come in this country, and one lady was like, "Well, we can't blame it on the Ukrainians because we always had racism." I understand that. I'm not blaming it on the Ukrainians, but I'm saying that they add into the pot. You know what I'm saying? They let these Ukrainians come over here who are known Nazis, and I bet you they're part of that. National Day of Hate. And speaking about hunting, I had put on one of my pages for Black History Month where they had hunting licenses for Black people. It was called nigger hunting licenses, and it was in the state of Missouri. And there was other states where they were paid like, you need a hunting license, pay like $15, $20 for a fishing license or $20 for a hunting license. They had the same thing, but it was called the nigger hunting license, sanctioned by the state of Missouri. So they were legally able to go out and hunt Black people. And so I put that on my Twitter. I don't know if they took it off. I don't know. But yeah, the National Day of Hate. Only thing I was just saying, I let my son know, I let my daughter know, keep your head on swivel, practice your Second Amendment. It's your God-given right to protect yourselves, just like they can protect themselves, we can too. I don't know why sometimes a lot of us are scared to, if we are allowed to have a gun, to actually, if they're coming at us, use it. And that goes for anybody. I'm just saying, I don't give a goddamn what they wearing. If you have a God-given right to protect your life. And so we got to get past that. So, hopefully, this National Day of Hate really doesn't transpire to anything. But, once they say the Jewish people, oh, we're in their, what you say, like fireman's guard, or we're in their eyes too. So they don't forget that they hate us just as much as they hate the fake Jewish people. Well, they hate the Jewish community. So I'm just going to say that. Now, one thing I do have to think on is, to me, it seems like I don't understand why white people can't see the progress. Like they're regressing at this point. Everybody is moving forward, but they're still in that position of hatred. They're still in that position of white supremacy. And I get that they don't want to give up their shit. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they're losing out. They feel like equality is oppression. I understand all of that, but they have to progress, because this right here is ridiculous to me at this point. It's just like I'm just like, what's the point of it all? Like, we understand you don't like Jews. We understand you don't like blacks. We understand you don't like Asians. We understand you don't like Hispanics. We get it. You know what I'm saying? Just stay to yourself. Like that white man said, look, we just need to get away from black people. You do. You need to get far away from us and leave us the fuck alone. So the slavery theme part, I mean, it just never ends with these people. This is nonstop. Every day it's like something new. It's just like, it never ends with them. So where's the slavery theme park at? Like,
now I'm gonna touch up on that in a second, Black Native. I'm gonna let
I was looking up there to see if I seen it.
Oh yeah, it's on the far right hand side. It should be the second. It's the second article on the far right hand side. It's actually up there in Benin. They're talking about creating this slavery theme park in Benin to commemorate or celebrate. I don't know, but to me it seemed like more celebrate, but to commemorate the actual transatlantic slave trade. So I'm gonna touch up on that one next. I'm gonna let you permit, and I'm gonna let Don. And then we can all go in on that as well too, because yeah.
So who's creating the theme park? Is it the Africans, or is it the Europeans that are over in Africa? Like, whose ideal is this?
That's a good question, because I remember at one time you had Marlon Jackson of the Jackson 5 was actually talking about building some kind of slavery theme park one time in West Africa. I don't think it ever went through, but he was actually talking about building that himself at one time. You had Marlon Jackson talking about that. So it's interesting to see actually who may be building that thing there too. But we're going to touch up on that, Black Native. I want you to stay up on the stage as well too when I go ahead and get that, because like I say, I'm gonna let Don and you permit go up next, and then we're gonna go ahead, and you know how we do. We touch up on all these topics, and you feel free to go back and carry and touch anything you want to. But just like, let me say I agree with you, because before you came in here, when I was reading that article talking about this day of hate, that it's supposedly about the Jewish people, but like I said before, it's more hate crimes committed against black people. So when you start talking about a day of hate, we know who really the number one target is. And that's not to say that they're not going to target some Jewish people and do some harm to them. But to me, it's always the actual honor is always doing it to the black person. Let's see if we can get us a nigga, because it's way more black people in this country than Jewish people. So you can get your hands on a Negro before you can get your hands on anybody else that you really want to stick it to.
The statistics say it too. The statistics, when you look at the hate crimes and the statistics, we're number one. I think it said like 54%. I think the Asians, if I'm not mistaken, was like
Black America, 60%.
Okay, so yeah, that's even higher. But for some reason, they can't seem to muster up any kind of protection for us. Everybody, the Asians was at like 6%, but they got their bill and they got their money. And now you see they over here doing mass murders and running people over U-Haul trucks. They need to snatch that $58 million they gave them people and snatch that damn fake ass hate crime bill that they used against black people. You know what I'm saying? They knew they was lying on us. But it's just like they don't want to do it. This is just what at the end of the day, like no matter how we say, hey, yo, we need protection like everybody else, look at the statistics. They still sitting on the George Floyd Act. So, you know, they don't want to pass these bills because they want to see us harmed. That's the only thing I can come from out of it all. They don't give a goddamn. And I'll land my plane.
Actually, y'all, I'm gonna tell you what some of the issue is. Well, a big part of the problem is that we can't get this these anti-black hate crime bill. Is the very people that look like us that's sitting in positions that's hurting us. These motherfuckers hating on us, and I'm talking about the non-black FBAs, like this coon that we were just talking about in Newstoter space. One of them that what's his name, Big Guru or Big Gorilla, those type of people. See, those people that look like us, that's dancing in front of white people like a goddamn gorilla or monkey, that's doing the type of shit that's hurting us. See.
Well, you got the immigrant. We want to change the name of the Black Caucus to the Immigrant Caucus. Let's just change the fucking name. You know what I'm saying? They don't deserve to have that name. They need to be changed to the Immigrant Caucus.
Yes, because they don't advocate for us. They advocate for these immigrants, like that nigga that keeps dancing all in these videos. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's hurting us, y'all. If we didn't have these kind of folks in policy positions, then we could be right there right now with an anti-crime bill, hate crime bill for our people, for our protection, because we definitely need it. When you're looking at those numbers, y'all, the hate crime numbers, Black Americans are up at the top at 62%. We are the ones that's being impacted the most by the hate crime, and it's being done, of course, by white people. White people are also leading in those numbers of attacking all groups, by the way. So that's who's doing the majority of the hate crimes. I mean, that's an obvious answer. So that tells you who has the majority of the hate in the country. It's these Caucasoids, the very people that come out of those Caucasoid mountains up there in Ukraine and Russia and all them places. We need to send them all back over there, because that's what's happening with these folks. These folks are evil. They low down. They sadistic. And we just need to send them all back. Because, see, it seems like to me you don't have any good ones here. If there are any good ones, they need to be trying to stand up somewhere. We need a goddamn John Brown or something. I'm gonna land my plane there.
He's wanting like 50 million. So yeah, ain't no more John Browns out here. I'm like, oh, we got the grifter. What's her name? Jane Elliott. You know, they've been grifting the black community for 60-something years, telling us shit we already know. Tell us something we don't know. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
Oh, Black Native, that woman's so decrepit, shit, she about to fall over at any time. But anyway.
Let me go ahead real quick, y'all, and get to Don and then get the U permit. Then we're going to touch up on this article as well about the actual slavery theme park they're trying to build over there in West Africa. Go ahead, Don. How you doing today?
What's going on? It's sobered out today, so what's happening?
I'm glad. I'm definitely glad you sober up in the space, Don. How you doing?
You know, life is going good right now. But on real talk, to piggyback off of what you guys were saying, you know, we have to understand that Joe Biden is a covert racist. He's a covert white supremacist. He ain't gonna say it. This is what he's been doing. He supported the Nazis in the Ukraine, knowing that the Nazis in the Ukraine were trained with United States soldiers in America, the United States veterans. Veterans would go, the white supremacists who are in the army, they would go over there and go train. You know what I'm saying? When they get out the military. So they can come back here and wreak havoc. So it's an easy correlation why they would have on Black History Month a National Hate Day. That's sending out a big subliminal to the whole country. You know what I mean? And that's part of the psychology that these people do. You know, they want this ingrained in American society. They didn't put it up in any other month. There's Hispanic month. There's LGBT month. You know what I'm saying? They have, next month is LGBT month. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So why did they do it this month? That's because they wanted the psychology out there. You can hate on this day. You can hate in February, in Black History Month. They did it for a reason. And then you look at the homeboy from what's that dude's name? Steve Adams or whatever his name is, and he was talking about let's get away from black people and everything like that. And then he made a character who is completely a character of what they call woke, and you know what that means. And you know, they do these little things, and they're doing it now. They've been doing it this whole month because we're starting to stand up. A lot of these people that we think that aren't in our spaces, who, you know what I'm saying, you know, who have blue checks and who've been on TV and on Fox News, they're coming to these spaces on burner accounts and everything. Because you can watch them go back and repeat what we're saying. You know, so we have to watch out, you know what I'm saying, of who's in our spaces and who is talking and who is just lingering. And take notes of who's doing this. And I'll land my plane.
All right, Don, and I agree with you what you said 100%. Like, and there's been a lot of drawback. You heard a lot, and the Black History Month has just really rubbed a lot of people wrong. I can see this year because you got a lot of white folks sitting up here running their mouth, and then they're not alone. You got a lot of Asian folks, the same ones sitting up here talking about how they've been discriminated and hated against. A lot of Asian folks on Twitter and these other platforms running their mouth about Black History Month. As much as black people have contributed to this country and as much as Asians have benefited from the plight of black people, whether they know this or not, whether they want to give credit, they're sitting up here running their mouths talking about black history, this and that or whatever. You need to just shut up and be really, really respectful of everything that black people have done that you guys have benefited from as well, too, directly and indirectly. You permit. Go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing today?
Can I say one thing, brother?
Yeah, real quick.
I have not seen it this bad, Newstoter. I've not seen it this bad. I've been on this planet, you know what I'm saying, 39 years. I've not seen it this bad. You know what I'm saying? Black History Month treated like this. They've gone all out. They created a day where they said that, guess what, we're going to bring police in. We're going to, you know, and police ain't going to be sitting there the way that we had a protest. They would come out in riot gear. They would come out with military vehicles. They're not doing that with them. You know what I'm saying? So this one is really serious, and we really need to pay attention to what's going on and not get our eye off the ball. This is for our children. We cannot have this. We cannot. They can do it, but guess what? We have to be pro-reactionary to what they're going to do. And I'll land there.
That's real, Don, and I have to agree with you. It's pretty bad, man. They have. And I guarantee, like you say, when the LGBT month come up and Hispanic month come up and Asian month come up, you're not going to see black people sitting up here just going in on these people's month and this and that and say, well, you don't deserve it. This is just a ripoff of Black History Month, though. But everybody, like I said, they have joined together and they just constantly keep ripping at Black History Month. Something that has inspired all these other groups to go ahead and get their own month and get the credit for whatever contributions they made to this country. They can't just go ahead and acknowledge what they've done or whatever, or sit here and say, oh, you know, black people have done this and that. They taking shots. So I'm in agreement with you on that, Don, 100%. You permit. How you doing?
Yeah, everything's good. I just got Roland Martin probably got a new job of holding Jane Elliott, Walker and stuff whenever she travels and opens up her mouth. I just want to put that out there. Also, with the Ukrainians, they've been known to train a lot of white supremacists from here, traveling over there, just like the brother just mentioned. So the United States know that, but Biden and them still support them. And also, too, what I tell a lot of people, anytime they have an influx or they have to bring in migrants, if you notice who's getting off these buses, who's getting on these planes and landing in these airports, it's mainly men. So the men are fleeing these countries and leaving their women and children back there. So in between all those men coming over here, there's always going to be some issues. And believe it or not, in a couple more years, with all those people that, the Arabs and stuff from over there that they brought over here, I forgot where they was from, lost my train of thought. It's going to be some shit that happens in the United States in the next few years. And it's going to be set up by the Democrats because they allowed all these people to come over here. Second point is with the Jewish community, I live in the tri-state area. Anytime they want to get money allocated to these specific communities, like the Jewish communities, that document that you just read wasn't a leak. It was purposely put out there to be found. And on top of that, what they do is NYPD will take the police from the black areas and put them heavily present in the Jewish communities. It's happened down there in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They'll take them from those black communities and put them heavily down there, and also fund the money to their private security companies that they use of their own people to also patrol their synagogues. So all it is washing money. And next month, and now if anybody in the tri-state area, just start paying attention to the news. They are burning and finding burnt LGBT flags. So this is how things get ramped up. Flag burnings, leak threats. That's why these communities get the money and resources. And the reason why our so-called leaders do not stand up for us like Al Sharpton, because they're too busy going to their press conferences whenever something happens to them. They condemning, anti-Semitism with all of them. But when it comes to us, we never see any of their leaders standing up on the podiums in support of us. And I'll just land it there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You permitting you right about that as well too. And it's like I was saying earlier, whenever an issue comes out, it's like, I don't know if it's some kind of memo that's sent out to these black leaders or whoever, but somewhere along the line, I guess somewhere the education that they've told black people that you can't just specifically say anything about what's going on with your people, that you have to include, like some kind of memo was sent them that you have to include brown people as well too. Anytime you have something specifically addressing black people, the first thing out of black person's mouth and black and brown communities, and it has nothing to do with brown communities. It's strictly about black people, but you have to put that little line in there. Now, whenever you hear Hispanics talking about Hispanics, they're talking about the brown community. They're talking about the Latinos. They talk about Latinx and all this other stuff. They're not always, it's like they may mention the black community in unison sometimes here and there, but it's every time a black person mentions what's going on, why they're being treated the way they're being treated. It's like we have to mention black and brown. Like we just can't. I don't know what it is. It's just really frustrating. Even the articles and stuff that we're curating this and that or whatever. It's totally about black people. But somehow I just read that article and I say watch, and it never fails. It always pops up. It's always black and brown. And it's specifically the whole article, the whole subject matter, the problem that's at hand is strictly about black people, black Americans. But it's like we have to put black and brown in there. It's like, and everybody, and Dr. Claude Anderson, he said it best. He's like, somehow along the line, you had pretty much in this country, people started telling you that, that they suffer just as much as you suffer. And we started going along with that. And now that's the status quo with the black people in politics, or black people, whatever, what any kind of group they have, any kind of nonprofit. Whenever I hear them say, well, we got to do this and we got to do this for black and brown communities, like no other group thinks about other groups the way black people do. Everybody else thinks about getting resources and doing things strictly for themselves. And if they can help somebody else, they'll go ahead and they'll help somebody else after they have gotten on their feet. But not black people. You're the group that's in the worst predicament. You can't even stand on your own feet, and you're sitting up here and you're trying to go ahead and extend the olive branch to other people who's not thinking about you. To me, it's just really frustrating and it's really tiresome, and I get tired of hearing it. But that is I guess somewhere in the civil rights movement that came up. When that civil rights was supposed to be about black people, and the white folks said, well, no, we can't do this. We got to include any and everybody up in this conversation. Since the 1960s, that has really been, a downfall of the black community. You got to think about you and yours first and foremost. And then after you and yours got yours, then you can go ahead and start thinking about everybody else. That's the way you build strength and unity amongst yourself. There is no strength and unity amongst black people. So how in the hell are you going to have it amongst another group of people, especially another group of people who have resentment towards you? That just to me is a complete head scratcher. Go ahead, you permit, and then I'm gonna get the black native.
Yeah. The mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, is a tweet that went around where he explains his loyalty. And if you pull that, did you see it? It was somebody was sending around a tweet about the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. He broke down where his loyalty lies, and the black community will be over there, but he's following the money where the money comes in. I'm going to see if I can find it and send it to you And that's your answer to why our black so-called leadership, our black so-called politicians from either side, either Republican or Democrat, they don't do what they don't represent us. I just leave it like that. I'll land it there.
All right, I'm gonna kick it to Black Native, and then Black Native, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna touch up on this actual theme park that they're trying to open up in West Africa, Benin of all places. Go ahead, Black Native.
Yeah, with Al Sharpton, we all know that he was an informant back in like the 80s, right? He admitted to it. I remember when what's the black guy, Byron Allen, was suing, I think, Comcast, and he brought up Al Sharpton, and he was saying that Al Sharpton was the only black person in media that was getting paid. He was say, I think he said he made like $5 million a year, or he got $5 million from MSNBC. So we know where his allegiance is at. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is. It's just that they get a script, or they're sent out on a mission and talk about everybody else. When you seeing a black child shot in the street, you're gonna talk about LGBTQ rights or the Asian rights. Asians have their own communities. They have stores. They have banks. The Hispanic, the Latin community, they have banks. They have stores. They're not in oppression like we are. They're not suffering like we are. So I don't, like you said, it's frustrating when you got these people who are supposed to be in quotes our leaders, and they're not. Everybody is thrown into the pot when it comes to black people issues. The LGBTQ, somehow they're suffering. They suffer just as much as black people. The Hispanic community, we suffer just as much. No, you couldn't have, because you just got here. You knew. And the LGBT, they got a whole section in New York. So this is what they do. So we are always minimized. Like, they diminish us because we all in one big fucking bowl with everybody else, but nobody else does that. Everybody else has enough sense to look out for their own people. And that's why I'm saying, who came up, or how did the Black Caucus become the Black Caucus? And who elected these people in these positions? And how can we get these people out the paint? We need to get them out the paint very fast, because I believe they're behind the scenes, making laws for 99.9% of the black population, but it never actually is just specifically for us. So we got to figure out how to get these people out of those positions, and how are they elected in these positions, or is it just a job that they apply for? How can we change this around? Because we have to do it, and we have to do it now in our land.
Start our own shit. That's it.
That's pretty much it. Don, I'm gonna get to you real quick. I want to go ahead and touch up on this article. Then you can go ahead and you can ask whatever question you want to ask. I just want to go ahead and get this actual article about the actual slave amusement park that they're talking about building out in West Africa. Shout out to DJ. I see DJ just made it up in the space. How you doing, DJ? Glad to have you up in here.
What up there, bro? Good to see you up in here.
Yeah, he probably he'll be back in a second, but let's go ahead real quick, y'all, and y'all can go back and jump back on this day of hate as well too. But we just like to have all of the actual information out there so our people can go ahead and touch up on all of it as well too. So let me go ahead and find this real quick, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this. Just give me 1 second real quick. All right. This is from The Conversation. It's also in the Jumbotron on the far right-hand side, too, you guys. Make sure you go ahead and retweet these actual articles out as well, too. This was actually back in December 15, 2022, when it was actually published. It says the Benin is building a theme park to remember slavery. Is history up for sale? And I'm just going to highlight just some. I don't know if I'm going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to touch up on some of it. The Marina Project is a vast memorial and tourist complex under construction in the coastal town of the Republic of Benin in West Africa. The country hopes to market itself as a major destination for Afro descendant tourists in the diaspora. Neighboring Nigeria and its population of 220 million, potential visitors also makes Serena Dominican Benin an invaluable location for large scale tourist attractions. The waterfront development is located at what was the main slave port for the Bight of Benin. From this region, almost 2 million enslaved Africans departed during the transatlantic slave trade at its height from the 1790s to the 1860s. It was controlled by the Kingdom of Dahomey. The future complex will include a hotel, spa, a life-size replica of a slave ship, memorial gardens, a craft market, and an arena for voodoo performances. Voodoo is a religion practiced in Benin among the descendants of enslaved Africans in the U.S., Haiti, and beyond. The local success of the Hollywood film The Woman King revealed a strong interest in this historical period, still neglected in the school syllabus. The Marina Project could lead to a better understanding of the transatlantic slave trade, but it raises many questions. In its design and scope, it epitomizes contested directions of slave heritage tourism. The commodification of heritage may debase the experience of the painful past. The spectacle of the culture produced by the tourist industry is often met with contempt. Anthropologists and well-traveled tourists often regard the likes of tourist dances as particularly tacky, according to U.S. scholar Edward M. Broner, and yet fellow anthropologist Paula Embrun argues that heritage tourists may also be pilgrims and their commercial cultural experience may be intimate and sincere, she notes. The Marina Project is also contested for other reasons. Some fear that the mass tourism will have adverse impact on the area known for its unique ecosystem and biodiversity. Adding to concerns is the development of another gigantic seaside resort nearby. Club Midas, I can't even pronounce it. There are already numerous slave heritage sites in Benin. These range from the European forts to the royal palaces of the kings of the Abomu, Porto de Vo, and Alada. It's my view as an anthropologist that the latest developments are walking a fine line balancing education remembrance with crude commerce. Teaching slavery in Africa. Slavery and the slave trade remain insufficiently taught in schools. In 1998, the United Nations Educational Scientific Culture Organization implemented the Transatlantic Slave Trade Education Project. Participating countries in West Africa like Ghana, Senegal, and the Gambia help address the issue. On the beach of Uda, the door of no return is a concrete and bronze arch with images of shackled bodies of enslaved Africans. It is one of the city's most notable landmarks, but only among hundreds. The road from the slave market to the monumental gate was marked by 24 sculptures and symbolic stops commemorating the March of the Captives. The drive is part of the organization's flagship Slave Route project, renamed Routes of Enslaved People, launched in 1994. It sparked the global development of research projects dedicated to studying slavery. It also set off new commemorations of slavery and the slave trade on the continent and beyond. In Benin, the transformation of memorial landscape. The private institution offers resources, exhibition, document spaces for school pupils to learn about slavery. Its founder is a prominent member, part of the Afro-Brazilian community related to slave traders and former slave returnees. On my last visit in February 2022, the Door of No Return Museum were undergoing renovations. The sculptures had been removed while the road was rebuilt. The museum is to be reborn as an international museum for memorial and slavery. So just to cut a long story short, we see that they're actually spending a lot of money trying to actually have this actual project go down in West Africa. So I just wanted to go ahead and share this. I don't know if that's an interesting thing. I wonder how many of our people in America would actually visit Benin to actually see this actual historical site. A lot of people, I'm sure, would not be too keen on seeing it because I could just imagine being on that ground with the actual, just feeling that actual spirit or whatever. And like Black Native said, Black Native, I'll be honest, I don't know who's funding this right here. UNESCO is a major nonprofit organization, World Trade, historical sites and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't really know who's putting all the money in it. It sounds like UNESCO maybe have something to do with this, but also I wouldn't be too surprised if it didn't have a major European backing, because I don't think most of those people in West Africa, even their leaders, are going to be sitting up putting this kind of stuff together as well too. And I don't know. My personal opinion, I don't have a problem with I think West Africa should go ahead and have some theme parks and stuff like that. But slavery, I think they have enough slave castles and dungeons and everything else, and museums as remembrance. So I don't know. I don't really know. I just can't get into actually thinking about a slave theme park, a slave amusement park. To me, it just doesn't even seem to go together. I mean, if you go into an amusement park or a theme park, to me, you're supposed to have fun. Now, if you're talking about a museum or something like that, that's different. But if you're talking about going to an actual theme park or an amusement, I just don't see how that. I don't just see what's the amusement behind it. I don't see what's the fun aspect of it. I mean, just me personally. Go ahead, Don. You got it.
Well, what you said, was it fun for them? Was selling slaves fun for them? I don't know. But I will say this: the number 3 movie on Netflix right now is The Woman King. You know what I'm saying? And I looked it up right now. I was looking, I was like, okay, guess what? And that's revisionist history. And everything is, the thing is, when I say it's coordinated, they're lying about our history, and bringing up a whole theme park about slavery like it was a fun, good time, or you can go there as a theme park, which is crazy. And then to even have a movie lying about what happened during the slave trade. It's a real coordinated effort that they're putting forth. And we have to understand that this is not really coming from the right. You know what I mean? The right wing of white supremacy. This is coming from the left wing of white supremacy. And I hope my brothers and sisters understand that this is a serious, serious time that we're in. And don't take it lightly. Don't look at this media propaganda and say, okay, we'll get over this. No, we have to actively fight. We have to actively help our brothers like Newstoter, who puts constant information out. Constant. His Cash App is on his page. Do it for him, because he does it all the time. He constantly puts out information, and we have to stay up on our square and say that this is what we need to do, because apparently these people, they're still trying to be on our neck, and we can't have that anymore. Now, land my plane.
Real quick, I want to ask you, Don, and I want to ask Professor, DJ, Black Native, Casey, You Permit, and anybody in the space. Tony, you can leave. I know you always leave the comments. Rerod, A Boogie, Evanston, Baby Sister, Goddess, all of you in this space, Diane, all of you guys listening in this space, will any of you guys be willing to spend $4,000-$5,000, travel to West Africa, and actually go ahead and visit this actual once they get up and running, this actual slave this slave amusement theme park? That's the question I want to go ahead and lay down to you real quick. Before that, like Don said, if you can support us on Cash App, it's $Newstoter. It's $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American media curation news platform today in America. Once again, that is $Newstoter. Newstoter. Any amount that you can contribute to donate is greatly appreciated. Also, if you don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, you can see the actual in our description, the actual links to the actual Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all of that's in there. Also, if you guys are in here, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter and the actual YouTube channel. That's also in the Jumbotron as well, too. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you go ahead and like and share the actual video, the live stream out that we're doing right now, too. So that's the question I want to ask everybody in the space. If you don't want to speak about it, that's fine, but leave a comment. Just a question: would you be willing to spend? Because I know if you're going to travel to Africa, it's going to cost you about a good $4,000-$5,000, I'm sure. Is anybody in the space, DJ, Professor, You Permit? And for my speakers up here, I actually want you to let me know too. So for those that speaking, I want you to let me know. Tarek, Reverend Tim, are any of you guys, Tony, A Boogie, are any of you guys willing to go ahead and spend $5,000 to $10,000? Or I should say at least $5,000 to travel to West Africa to actually visit the actual slave museum once they get this thing. It's not even a museum, the actual slave theme park. Are you willing to go ahead and spend that money and actually go there and visit? Let me give a shout out to Kiera as well, too. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Black Native, You permit, you actually next, and Black Native, you're after that. So anybody, please, in the comment, if you don't even want to speak, that's fine. Just in the comment section, let us know. Would you be willing to go to Benin, the land of the homie? We know one of the most vicious, cruel, damn group of people there were. Will you be willing to go there and pay homage and see the history that transpired, as well as have a good time in this amusement slave theme park? You got it. You permit.
No, I would not spend my money to go over there. Also, that $50 million that Biden gave over to Africa.
That's 55 billion.
55 billion, my bad. Got my tongue tied. $55 billion for. Did some of that go to that area? Because they probably using that money for some of those type of quote unquote projects. Because I think it wasn't, he gave it in forgiveness of slavery, but it was some type of, for it to be used with, either something that was also binded into that gift. So that's probably why too. They, using that to complete that type of stuff like that. But I wouldn't spend my money to go over there and travel.
Real talk. I appreciate that. And like I said, I want to hear my people too. Professor DJ. I know we got Black Native next. We got Don next. But even if you don't want to come up here and get the mic to speak or whatever, just in the comment section, just a yes or no. Yes, I'll go over there. No, I don't want to go over there. I would never go over there, whatever. I just want to hear the actual opinion of our people. And on YouTube, my girl Sandra, she said, I would not go if it was free. So Sandra letting you know exactly how she feels. She said even if it was free, she wouldn't go. You got it, Black Native, and then we're gonna go to Don and Professor.
Yeah, I would just say the same thing. I won't go, but if it was free either, it is what it is. West Africa been selling Negroes. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't came with no slave rescue ships to come pick a nigga up to this day. I mean, my mic there. I'm at work. I'm on a plantation, master. I'm on a plantation, master.
We got you. Go ahead, Black Native, Don, and then Casey, and then Professor. We're gonna let you go since you won the co-host. We'll let you go after them.
Hell no, I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay a dime. I wouldn't go for free. They couldn't even pay me to go to some theme park. And you know what? I'm gonna say. The African government has to be involved in this. You know what I'm saying? All of that Black Americans going back to Africa and going to the door of no return, and they're paying to go see how our people was sold off. Now, I watched The Woman King yesterday, right? Because it's on Netflix. I got Netflix. I watched it bootleg because I was like, I'm not paying. So I saw it up there. So let me watch this shit. So that's a clearer version. And plus, they had like the writing at the bottom. Now, when I was watching the movie and you were speaking about Benin and where the point of no return is a place called Ayuda. Ayuda means Judah. That's exactly what it means. When you look it up in the dictionary, it's the same thing. Just so happens, I was watching a show on Netflix called High on the Hog. And it's how African American cuisine transformed America. Now, the first is like a 5-part series. The first series is a Black man. He goes to Benin, and he goes to this place called Ayuda. And when I'm looking at the Woman King, I keep saying Lion King. The Woman King, they mention the same place. So this is a main place in our history that we need to really look at deep dive into. I did it, and I don't have time to go into real deep details. But it's just the correlation that kind of brought me back and had me doing a little bit more research. No, I wouldn't pay. I don't think any Black American in their right mind would want to go over there to some theme park like that. Like it's total lack of respect for us. Like DJ said, they didn't send a boat, not one canoe, not a life raft, nothing. You know what I'm saying? They didn't come over here. They didn't give a damn. And when I watched the Woman King for a second time with a clearer version, they try to change. They try to say that the homie, their whole economy was built off of selling slaves, but they wanted to go into a different direction. They were trying to sell palm oil. because she said even though they're not the homie, they're still our people. All in that part of West Africa, all the different tribes was selling each other. So yeah, they try to clean it up a little bit. But you know, me and Professor was having this conversation, and she didn't get nominated. We shut that movie down. We said, hell no, we're not going to see this shit. And so, you know, that's a stain on what's her name, the woman, Viola Davis's career. Hopefully, she'll make better choices. But that's my response. I'll land.
Thank you, Black Native. And you know, you had a big pushback for a lot of Black people. They were upset that she wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actress because they felt that the role was so powerful and so strong. They felt that Viola Davis got shafted. That was another one of those Oscar so white type moments they felt too. So just to put that out there. Don. Oh, go ahead, Black Native, real quick.
Yeah, I mean, we was looking. We even went over the list of black people that was getting nominated. It's only 2. I don't even know why people still attend these functions. We should create our own. We have more fun when we're around ourselves. We can really be who we truly are when we're around ourselves, and stop trying to want acknowledgement and from white people, because you ain't never going to get it. So I don't think she should have been nominated, because really the movie was not all of that. You know what I'm saying? All of the women in that movie, except for maybe 3 or 4, look manly like men. And I watched Wonder Woman, even though I know it's not based off of reality, but they're considered Amazons, and they made them white women look feminine. So I have a problem with that. So the whole shit was just messed up to me. But you know, I just looked at it again because it's on Netflix and I got it. And I wanted to see if I wanted to really pay attention to what I was watching, because I didn't the last time.
All right, thank you, Black Native. We're gonna go ahead and kick it to Don. Then we're gonna get to KC, and then we're gonna get the Professor. Go ahead, Don.
Number one, I would never go to a slavery theme park. I don't care where it's at. It could be around the corner. I'm gonna go there with a Molotov cocktail. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. But on the other hand, I remember my mom. She asked me, "Do you want to go back to, you know what I'm saying, to the point of no return in Africa?" She actually offered to pay. I told her no, because I started looking around at all those people there and know that I don't know. You might be the one who did this. You might be the one who just was like, cool, because you guys are still here. I don't know if you guys ever seen a movie called Goodfellas, but there was a scene where Joe Pesci, he was like, keep him here. Well, those people who sold us are still there, and we kept them there. They didn't leave, they right there. And you know what happened in that movie? You watched Goodfellas. He came back and went to war with that one person who did that to him. So I don't have any respect for anybody, you know what I'm saying? I don't care what you did. I don't want to be hell no. And then they have a whole situation where they have a theme park. Is there a Jewish theme park like that? A Holocaust theme park?
No, sir. And if you talk about having some kind of theme park around the actual Holocaust, they're gonna try to arrest your ass.
Exactly. So why do what's so special about us? Why do we need that? We didn't need that. That's actually a spit in our face. That's actually a spit in our face. I'm getting angry just thinking about that. Like, to even have that notion that as Black Americans we would even come back. But like, let's go to the slavery theme park. Let's gather the whole family. Like, we go into Disney World and have a slavery theme park day. This is the ludicrousness that, you know what I'm saying, Africans, I'm sorry if you're African or Pan-African, this is the ludicrousness that you guys have. We're tired of it. This is tiring after a while. When we tell you we're tired of the disrespect, you guys do not listen to us. And I land my plane.
Real talk there, Don. Real talk. I mean, that out of all the things they could build and try to get people to actually come there and enjoy the actual continent, the weather, you could set up some kind of tropical paradise or something like that. Nobody wants to, and I know none of us was alive when this happened, but none of us want to relive what our ancestors went through. There was nothing positive about that. And when you take your kids to a theme park, being here in Florida, we are like probably the king of theme parks. We're not going to a theme park to try to cry and to have an emotional breakdown and just to feel like pure crap out there. We're going to a theme park so we and our kids can enjoy themselves and have a good time. We're not going there to, you know, just to lose it. And I think that's what a lot of times, if you go to something like that, you're reflective, nobody's feeling good about that. Yeah, that's history. And you know, you have to study history and know history, but nobody wants to go to that. I mean, to me, that's the wrong title. You can't say that this is a theme park. I mean, if you want to say a museum or something like that, that's one thing. There's enough dungeons and slave castles and ports and everything else in West Africa that I really don't think you need to build any new ones. But if you want to sit up here and tie this to some kind of amusement park, a theme park, yeah, you may want to do something else with that money. Casey,
what average Black American is going to spend $5,000 to get to that?
Not many I know.
This is crazy.
Yeah, not many I know. $5,000. You're talking about a lot of money for a vacation. Not many I know are going to spend $5,000 to go to something like this. And not a lot that I know. Now, that's not to say that there's nobody I know that would do it, but most of the people that I know and I'm familiar with, friends, family, associates, acquaintances, they're not going to take $5,000 of their hard-earned money and go to a slave amusement park. They're not going to do it. Casey, how you?
That Black to Africa film. Remember how they had that a couple of years ago? They was like, "Oh, yo, you guys come back to Africa, and you know what I'm saying, you get a 5-star hotel, and maybe you'll meet T.I. and that's all a business venture and entertainment." No, it doesn't work like that with us. You know what I'm saying? It's not entertainment, especially us who really want to understand history. We don't have to do all that. This is. I can't believe they insult Black Americans' intelligence so much. They do it on a regular basis. And I land my plane. Yeah.
Real talk. Casey, how you doing today? Go ahead and unmute your mic, Casey.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Man, I am ecstatic. I am over the moon. Hey, you know what? Let me be the first person to tell you. I would personally love to go to Benin or wherever in West Africa this is, so I can see this slavery Negro themed theme park. Let me be the first to say it. If nobody else in here is going to have the balls to say it, I'm going to say it. I want to go to see this. I want to see what everything's like. I want to see how the Africans who were sat there and chained together and wooded together and whipped and starved for 2 and 3 freaking days at a time before they got onto a slave ship for a 6 and 7 month cruise all the way down to the Caribbean and then up into the Carolinas. I want to see this. I want to see this for a very simple reason. And I think that them building this is good because, as Jason Black says, this is good. And it's good for this reason. I am a foundational Black American. My ancestors went through all of this, all of that breaking, all of that whipping, all of that tarring and feathering, all of the slave ships, the boats, the trips, and the this and the that and the third. And damn it, I'm still here. More importantly, this tells us exactly who and what we are dealing with as far as the Africans are concerned. So for all of those folks out there who want to sit up here and say, oh, yeah, we need to get a coalition. I am not about to sit there and coalesce with that because there's not a damn thing in my Black soul, my Black spirit that's going to sit there and say that is A-okay to sit there and make $1 off of other people's suffering. More importantly, this tells us exactly who they are. And that when we do come for our reparations, guess what? Your ass is next on the list. Because whatever little crumbs that they've thrown to you and your countries, we're coming after that too. Because y'all owe. And just plain as said, like I said, when I'm standing on this side of that dividing line, with my popcorn in my one hand and my jollof in the other, I'm going to be standing there and watching all of the Africans sitting there getting their wake-up call. Because they're going to see their whites, they're going to see the Chinese, and they're going to see the Russians in their natural habitat. the habitat that sits there and says they don't give a damn whether you come from Benin, the Congo, Cameroon, South Africa, Sierra Leone, Madagascar, Monaco. They don't care. You're all niggas to them. And I'm going to be calling you the same thing, only on this side. So when you're ready to come with that great big plate of apology,
All right, Casey, you definitely went in on that one there too. And let me also say that I was listening to one. I think last week I was listening to Sarnetta, and one of his speakers on that thing, dude named Chris Harris. They were talking about reparations, and he got upset when they were saying that Africa owes reparations. Oh, that we should sue Africa for reparations. This dude he really got upset. He was saying how stupid that was. How you gonna sue Africa for reparations and this and that? And the guy was like, "Well, I was just joking." He like, "Yeah, okay, I thought it better be a joke." I mean, he got to the point where he flipped out for the simple fact that you could even fix your mouth and talk about you gonna sue Africa. Yeah, it's okay to sue the actual everybody else, but don't you dare talk about suing Africa for reparations. So I just thought that was, really, really ironic there. Real quick, we're gonna go ahead and kick it to you, Professor. Then we'll kick it back to Don as well too. And y'all also, you willing? If you guys want to, you can still talk about the actual National Day of Hate. But I just wanted to go ahead and get this article out there about the actual slavery amusement theme park they were building in West Africa, trying to build or whatever. So we could definitely still talk about that. These are the two topics. We're talking about the neo-Nazi National Day of Hate, and we're talking about the actual amusement theme park that they're building in Africa. We're not going to be on long today, guys. I'm glad that you joined us for this Saturday. Please go ahead and retweet out the space as well to your followers and listeners so they may get a chance to actually hear this. If you guys have any connection issues, go to YouTube. We're live streaming it as well there. So let me go ahead and kick it to Mr. Professor. Professor, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you, Newstoter. And no, I would not make the trip over there for that. To me, it's just another way for them to poke fun of Black Americans, of our struggles. And I don't give a damn about seeing something like that. And let me say this, to add on to what Black Native said earlier about Viola Davis, when she made that fucked up movie, I'm glad she was not nominated. I'm very glad of that. She didn't deserve to be nominated because as a foundational Black American, she should not even thought about making that movie, because that was a movie that was actually produced and written by white women. They controlled that movie. It was not even made from the foundation of Black American viewpoint. It was made from white women's point of view. So it was bad from the very beginning, y'all. So Viola, I understand you trying to get yourself out there and win Oscars and shit like that, but as you can see, he didn't even nominate you. And that's the thing. White men that control Hollywood don't really look at Black folks. And there's a lot of great Black actors and actresses out there, and there's a lot of them that have been passed over for years. For years. Look at brother Samuel L. Jackson. Never was nominated for an Oscar, everybody. Never. Now, who would think that, huh? One of the greatest actors of all time, never been nominated for an Oscar. They gave him an honorary Oscar, by the way. Now, that don't mean shit, really. He got an honorary Oscar, but they also gave out some honorary Oscars to white people that had never been nominated. But there's a lot of great Black actors and actresses that have never been nominated. So to you, Viola, I'm glad you missed out. I know I would not make the trip over there to see some damn Comica theme park. I land my plane there.
All right, Professor, let me go ahead and kick it down. I know you had your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
And to piggyback off of what he said about Samuel L. Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson is his movies that made the highest paid, I don't know how to say it correctly, but his movies are the highest in the world. He's made the most money off of his movies in the world. You know what I'm saying? Just to put that out there. But what brother was saying is that, well, what I'm going to piggyback off of what brother was saying. No, the disrespect is on such a high level right now. This 2023 has been on the highest level that I've ever seen in my life. You know, they're talking about theme parks. They're talking about having National Hate Days. They're talking about so much, and it's like they're wanting to say, please, black people don't have a Black History Month. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm thinking that they're getting at. Please don't have a Black History Month. Don't even talk about your history. You know what I mean? Just don't talk about it. And when we talk about our history, they get offended. They get offended by the fact is that we know our history because we wasn't supposed to know it. It's just we know it and we can say it and recite it. The world gets mad at that because we're, you know what I'm saying, supposed to be a melting pot. We were supposed to melt into the system and we never melted. We stayed the same. And that's one thing Black Americans have done. We have never melted into this pot because we are the pot. You and our pot. We've never tried to be like anybody else on this planet. There's never been a Black American who I could look at, especially a foundational Black American who's walking around doing the bagpipes. There's never been a Black American who has actually dressed like a Nigerian American. No, you guys dress this just like us. You guys copy what we do. From our grandmas to our grandpas, you know. Every single Black American knows, like, they're really trying to be like us, and we laugh at it, but they really take it seriously because you guys do not have a culture. And we started a culture. There's a reason why America, with Black Americans, does not look like Canada. Shouldn't Canada be? Canada should be a world superpower. You know what I'm saying? But it's not because you didn't have any kind of push from Black America. We've done what we need to do necessary, and we keep on pushing. And a lot of it comes from jealousy, and we have to understand that jealousy is that's one of the 7 sins, and it's a serious sin. And the devil will use it, and the devil has been using it. I just call white people the devil. Okay. But on the other hand, yes, they do use it. Oh, my boys are screaming. So I love my plane. I'm just
right, Don. Appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that. And what Casey was saying was so right too. Like, this is just to me with the actual thing when we're talking about that theme park. You talk about making $1 off a lot of misery, a lot of tragedy that went down. With so many different ways that they could go ahead and use that land. And actually, if you're trying to attract the diaspora back to Africa and stuff like that, that would be the last thing that I think that you would want to have. I mean, in terms of something like a amusement theme park like that. So I just don't understand the reasoning behind that. I don't think you're going to get a ton of people from the diaspora, be it from America or the Caribbean, that actually want to go see that as well too. You'll get some people that don't want to see it, but I don't think you'll get enough to really, I think you'll get more Europeans, more white folks that really want to go see that and see the actual structure and see everything that went down. But you're not going to get a whole bunch of Black Americans, I don't believe, that actually want to go see that personally.
You're going to get a whole bunch of interracial people, a whole bunch of people who are in interracial relationships to go see that.
Oh yeah, that's real talk.
Yeah. Who else is going to go see it? That's who it's meant for. You know what I mean? We know that. Because, if you're coming from that the land of no return, they actually sent Black people to hell. Think about that. Haiti. Haiti means hell. They didn't have no problem sending people to hell from those ports. So I don't know if I would ever. I don't even know if I want to step foot in Africa. Just to be honest, just off of that alone, that you're willing to send our people to a place called Haiti. You know it's Haiti. You know it's called hell. And you were willing to send us to there just to make a profit? Okay. Now, that's one where I can't mess with you. You know what I mean? I can't mess with the people like that. I don't know. You guys can. That's not in me. I win.
That's real talk. Hey, Toto, I'm sorry, everybody. I got kicked out of the space simply by another phone call. But basically what I was saying, and I hope everybody understands that I was speaking in sarcasm.
Oh, I think everybody understands that, Casey.
At the end of the day, I'm gonna say this: just like the brother was just talking about, a lot of interracial couples are going to show up to that kind of thing. I want for the Africans to see white people, and Chinese, and everybody else who goes over to those places, and I want them to see them in their natural habitat. I want them to see how they actually feel about Black folks worldwide, not just U.S. African Americans, not just those in England, not just those down in the Caribbean. They think of us all as one big nigga. And that wake-up call for the Africans, the ones over there, the ones who are sending over these dancing gorillas and every damn body else, they're going to see it. And if they are any kind of real human being, it's going to affect them. Because unlike over here, where, where they can say, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, I'm Nigerian, or it doesn't affect me because I'm from this place or that place. The people who are going to be in those exhibits are going to be Africans. They're going to be brothers and sisters and cousins and aunties and grandmothers. And I want them to see them take that kind of abuse and disrespect. We'll see exactly how long it's going to take for them to decide to rise up and do what Black Americans have done. And even if it takes them 1,000 years, you got to start some damn where. And we're still waiting, Africa. But we're going to be here. And I'll land with that.
Brother, we've been sitting in the belly of the beast for so long. And we didn't understand that. They've been colonized for so long that they didn't understand that they were slaves. How you get enslaved in your country when you are the majority?
Well, brother, that's the thing. They still slaves. Because like many of us did, many of our ancestors had to do. They had to come to the cognitive dissonance of saying, well, if I go through religion, I'll be accepted. Or if I go through a lodge, I'll be accepted. If I go to school and get this kind of a degree and this kind of certification, I'll be accepted. If I comb my hair and I don't have kinks and naps, I'm going to be accepted. We eventually here in the United States came to the realization that it don't matter what we do. We're not going to be accepted by them. We are going to continually and forever be in their eyes a joke. And we were a joke until we stood up. Then we became a problem. It's up to the Africans now. If they say they want coalitions, if they say they want things changed over in their country, it's going to have to deal with that cognitive dissonance, brother. They're going to have to come to that because we can't do it for them. Just like we can't do it for those in the Caribbean, just like we can't do it for those in Europe, just like we can't do it for those in Australia and around the globe. Until such time as they collectively get it in through their thick head that there's no escaping white supremacy, that there's no escaping this skin. Ain't nothing we can do, bro. And as far as FBA are concerned, that's why they pissed. Because we're breaking through that cognitive dissonance just a little bit at a time. But all it takes is a crack.
Yeah, real talk. Everything that we've done in this country, and unfortunately, it's still a lot of us that still think that we can still find grace in trying to kiss behind. But most of us, I think, have woken up to the point that, hey, no matter what we do, we're going to always be considered different. So we may as well just go ahead and look out for ourselves. The African also has to have to realize that as well too. You have the numbers, you have the land, you have the resources. If you want to come up, you can come up. You didn't have the weaponry, and that's one reason why you were colonized over there on your own land. But now there's no reason when the age of information, like I said, you have everything that the outside world wants. You sit on your resources, and if you really want to come up, then you go ahead and you start trying to form these coalitions. But first, just like you have to go ahead and get your people in order, we ourselves have to get ourselves in order over here in this country and worry about ourselves. Once we can go ahead and get ourselves to the point where we need to be, then we can go ahead and start reaching out and reaching across the aisle to other people in the diaspora. We're not there yet. So at this point in time, we can't really form those coalitions that we would like because we have too much work to do in our own house at this situation at this time right now. So once we get to that level that we can go ahead and everything's in order as well as it could be, because nothing's going to ever be perfect. But when we got the bulk of our people or a good amount of our people, it doesn't take all of our people either. That's one thing we need to realize. We're never going to get 45, 50 million black people on board. Never. But if you got a million or two on board, then you have a real power house that you can really do something with. So let's get out of that we got to get all black people, and if all black people put their money in this, and if all black people ain't never gonna do nothing, man. That is a damn dream now. Okay, that's not gonna happen. That's never happened before in history, and it never will happen. It's never happened with any race or group or ethnic group. You never had 100% participation, no matter whether you talk about the Europeans, the Asians, or whoever. It's never, ever happened. It never happened back in medieval time in Africa. It never happened over here in the Americas. It never will happen, and you don't need it to happen. You just need a significant number of people to be aboard. That's all you need. So let's get out of this pipe dream that all black people, if all black people come together, if all, it's never that's nonsense. That's something that a child would say. A grown-up knows that's impossible and that would never happen. So let's get out of that mindset there. I see my man Black Pressure up here real quick. I'm gonna kick it to Black Pressure. Professor, hold it down for me 1 second while Black Pressure, go Black Pressure, then we'll go to Don, and then Professor, you go after that.
All right, Black Pressure, go ahead, my brother.
Now go ahead, Professor. You are the great. Y'all hands with us before mine.
Okay. I was just gonna say, fam, pay attention around you with all that's going on now. And I'm talking about everything that's happening because white supremacists are on high alert to do anything, everything. I'm saying this because there's alerts going out about these power grids. They're trying to attack those particular areas now with majority black urban areas. So I want all of you to get up on your 2A, your 14A, whatever you got to do, defend yourself and your families. White supremacy is on very high alert. They trying to do everything they can to attack us. So I just want y'all to watch our surroundings. I want y'all to be aware of everything that's happening, okay? These folks are they don't seem to give a shit. They trying to do anything they can to come after us. They sitting here talking about the Jews, but it's not the Jews they really have to worry. It's really us because we don't have any protections in place like the Jews. We are the group that is most vulnerable here when it comes to these attacks because we got law enforcement who's infiltrated with white supremacy. Then we got these dumb rednecks running around here with the rebel flags on and the cowboy boots and spitting, chewing tobacco and calling themselves Bubba and then Karens attacking us every which way. So you just got to be careful, family. And Black Pressure is up for you, bro. Or is it done? Done. Yeah, go ahead, Don. Or the great.
Okay, yeah, and on real talk, I'm gonna say like this. Honestly, I'm starting to figure out that are these people in Africa waiting on us to come save them, like Black Americans? Because apparently it's starting to look like that. That they're starting to look at us and say, okay, how are you guys going to save us? And we're not going to come save you. This is not a savior situation. I think that's what they want. Black Americans to come back and come save them from a situation that they put themselves in. You know how you have that auntie, she a crackhead, and she like, oh, I went through all. No, you went through all this, and you want us to come save you after all the stuff that you did, stealing silverware and everything like that. No, we can't save you after that. You guys did this to yourselves. Now I'm glad this space is recorded. You guys did this to yourselves, and then you want Black Americans to come save you. You leech off our culture. You take it around the world, and everybody kicks you out of the country. You have 200 million people in Nigeria. There's 365 million people in America. In one country alone in Africa, you have 200 million people. It's not our fault that you left. You gave away your best and your brightest. You didn't consider us as something that was valuable, but now you do. And if we do come back, it's going to be under a whole different circumstance. We're not coming back over with the Woman King syndrome. We're not coming back with European syndrome. Because apparently, all them countries over there, they're run by European banks. We all know that. They all have to pay colonial taxes. We're not going to do that. So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact is that they feel that we should come back and help them. And we owe them nothing. Nothing. Not one dime, not one penny, not anything. And it's not being mean. It's just being honest. This is what happened in history. Our history has never changed. We know it. We've lived it. And just because our ancestors have lived it, we've lived it, and we're not afraid. This is their fear. Their fear has always been this way. You guys have let people go. You sent them to a place called hell, and then didn't even go to even let. I would never let my brother go to a place called hell. Either that, or I'm gonna follow him there. We're gonna go to hell together, and I'm gonna come get you out. And if we help in hell together, brother, we're here together. They've never done that. So to cut off ties and to say that we need to do exactly what we need to do over here, that these are our brothers and sisters over here, it's not our fault. They always want to lay blame and say that, well, we have the same DNA and you are from Europa, you are from West Africa. No, we're not. We've lost that a long time ago. This was your loss. Now you're acting like clingy spouses who didn't know that it's over. We're completely different from the ones who went to the UK, to the ones who went to, Europe and did everything like that. We're different. We don't even play football in America. You guys play soccer. We don't play soccer over here. We play football. We're different. We play basketball. We're different. Our cultural differences mean something. They always say that, that Black Americans don't have any culture. But when we show them our culture, they don't want to acknowledge it.
Be the trendsetters, brother. Be the trendsetters.
I know. Let me land my plane. I'll land my plane right there, brother.
Okay, y'all, I'm back. Was Black Pressure next, or did Black Pressure get a chance to speak yet, Professor?
He yielded his time over to me and Don, and it's his time now.
Okay, Black, you want to say something, or are you good?
Yeah, you know what I do, News. How you doing, Black family? Hope all is well. News, DJ Professor, what's up? Y'all the hosting down. So, if you would give me a short amount of time, News, I'm going to choose to be the villain for a second. So, and I apologize. I just got to running on my errands. What up? So I came in on the tail end of the conversation. But what I'll do is I'll build on what the brother said earlier. I apologize in advance. I didn't catch his name, but he did bring up religion. Now everybody in here, they know my stance on that. I actually believe in God. I've laid that out. I actually believe in Jesus. I've laid that out historically. I 100% wholeheartedly believe he was real. He, where he came from, where he lived, all that. I don't dispute any of. I will never dispute any of that. Now, what I heard one of the brothers say earlier is if you look at World War II and if you look at what Hitler was afraid of, Hitler was afraid of fighting a war on two different fronts, pretty much on two different coasts. If you look at the dilemma that Black people are in America today, it's literally a carbon copy of what Hitler was in fear of. Like you said earlier, news about we're not gonna ever get 45 million people on the same page and to fight together. Absolutely, 100% true. But what I will say, well, one of the biggest roadblocks and deterrents for getting as many Black people together to fight against white supremacy as we can is Western religion. Now, notice you put air quotes Western. I'm sure everybody in this room, as well as me, can testify to this. I have friends, associates, co-workers, family members. The minute you challenge any of the ideologies of Western religion, you are automatically an enemy combatant to these people. These people, Western religion has, when I say millions, I mean that in every sense of the word, millions of Black people fooled into thinking that the way we're going to get out of this situation is there's a white man with long hair and a manicured goatee that hugs sheep and makes cupcakes for all the kids in the neighborhood. He's going to come rescue us out of this situation. The minute you talking about planting your feet down and physically fighting white supremacy, they say no. They say Jesus is going to come on his fiery chair and make everything all right. That ethos and those ideologies have poisoned the minds of Black people in this country. Like News said, you'd be lucky. I think you were generous to say 2 million. I think you'd be lucky to get 750,000 Black people to stand shoulder to shoulder to fight against white supremacy. And you know me, I keep mine short and I'll land my plane there.
All right. Let me go ahead and get Leon. Leon, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, dear Newstoter. I'm surprised this is the first time I see you doing a weekend show, but
every now and then I do one on a Saturday. But how you doing today?
Okay, but nonetheless, the topic. I'm not even going to go on the topic because brothers are cooking in here. I'm gonna stay on that topic. Even you alluded to because I caught it the tail end of that, but I kind of know you now, so I kind of have an idea where we're going with this. The last brother, you spot on. It has poisoned us. Let's just look. First thing we got to be honest. Like a person with an addiction. First rule when you're an addict, you got to admit you're an addict. We as Black Americans, we have to admit we've been duped to a point that we can't even think right. As far as what this white supremacists have done to us and still doing to us, and like the brother said, about the Western philosophy, Jesus ain't gonna come help us. We're gonna have to help ourselves, because that's just how it's going to end up. We gotta face reality. Ain't gonna be no Negro spirituals going to save us. There ain't gonna be no these projected Black leaders, because they're not our leaders. They're curated by white supremacy. Probably, I would say almost 80%. Yes, 80% of them are curated. They are not our leaders. Well, I'm going from the Al Sharptons to Kamala Harris to all the way back to even who the hell else is out there now. You can punch me up about that, but that's just how I feel. That's just my opinion. We have a new movement. We have to move forward. We have to be more strategic. We have to get ourselves together, because this is going to be a fight, and this is going to be a bloody fight. We got to be honest with ourselves. This is going to be a bloody fight, but we can't stand and do nothing. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, Black people are not a monolith." You're right. We're not a monolith. That's why we delineate. You know what I'm saying? But our so-called brothers and sisters over in the Africa, they can't help us either. Their problems are so messed up, they can't align with us to even even try to help us. All we got is it's going to take all of us and only us to shut this down. Not laying there.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and Black Pressure, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get the last say, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up for the day. So, Black Pressure, go ahead.
Go ahead, dude.
No, okay.
Go ahead. I know I jumped in the way. Go ahead.
Okay, guys, we started around by 4:30. I just want to touch up on some things for the day. So I appreciate everybody coming in this Saturday up in the space. We'll be back Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you guys to the co-hosts and the speakers. I see my boy Ray, he's down in the listener section. So shout out to Ray as well, too. And shout out to all you guys who came in and kicked it with us today. So we'll check you guys out Monday once again on our usual Twitter space, Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So everybody, y'all be safe this weekend. Enjoy yourself. And until then, we'll see you guys then.